A good day, folks. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Welcome to another episode of Andrew's Life. I got a little video for you. Uh, it's basically about about a man that's advocating for homeless vets. And he is sitting in front of the city hall. He was sitting in front of the city hall of Ocean Springs advocating for homeless vets. and apparently the work and apparently the city hall employees did not like him sitting in front like that. His presence made them nervous, supposedly. So they chose to get law enforcement involved, and when they did, uh, as you guys will see, law enforcement, at least in my opinion, were a little bit disrespectful to this man. And I know for me, it kind of makes me question the humanity that's actually left in this country. So let's play the story and have a discussion along the way.
Is being shared online. Tense encounters between police and a man standing at the steps of City Hall in Ocean Springs and Waveland. The man claims his constitutional rights were violated in both cities when officers demanded to see his ID and told him to leave the property. Just in the last few hours, Waveland's mayor releasing a statement saying the man was making city workers uncomfortable before the recording started, and that's why.
Okay, so this guy is sitting around holding up a sign advocating for homeless vets. I forgot exactly what the sign stated. They'll show it later in this clip. But this man was not one. He wasn't even asking anybody for any money or any of that kind of stuff. Just spreading I don't know what you would call it, but he was just advocating for homeless vets. Uh, Apparently, the city workers did not like his presence. So here you got law enforcement, and they're getting ready. And in this particular story, these officers are getting ready to go in and bully this man, basically. Why do I say bully? Well, you're gonna see what you're gonna see what I mean, and then we're gonna talk further about it.
Why police were called. Noah Noble has a closer look.
Oh, and I forgot to mention that technically it is his constitutional right to hold that sign up and be in the. I mean, what he was. I mean, technically, what the man was doing, the guy that was holding up that sign, "God bless homeless vets." I mean, technically, he was not breaking any laws. He, as the man mentioned, he was exercising his constitutional right. So let's see what happens. And obviously, I'm not no lawyer, I'm not no attorney. I'm just a small YouTuber trying to grow his channel, trying to put out some information that I believe is important for you guys to take in.
Am I required to give you ID?
Yes, you are.
And what happened if I don't give it to you?
You're going to jail. Period.
In this video posted to
Good morning, gentlemen.
YouTube, self-proclaimed civil rights.
Now, technically, in this particular situation, if he refuses to give the officer an ID, many of you would say that he doesn't have to provide an ID because he has committed no crime, which in this case he hasn't. Now, me personally, just to get the officers off my ass, I would probably show them an ID because some of these officers, if you don't do what they tell you to do, they can get what might happen to you afterwards can get a little, I'll just say, unpredictable. And I know if I was in this man's situation, I don't want to have any dealings with any officers. I want to deal with them with, I want to deal with them as little as possible. But I do gotta say, I do take my head off to this man for doing what he's doing. I mean, he's advocating for homeless vets and advocating for anyone who's down and out in this country unfortunately, in many cases, is frowned upon. Let's keep going.
Investigator Jeffrey Gray is having a tense interaction with Waveland police. But minutes earlier, this is what Gray was doing, standing outside City Hall, holding a sign that says, "God bless our homeless veterans."
That's not true. Morning, man. God bless our homeless veterans. Please pray for our homeless vets.
I reached out to Gray to understand why he was there in the first place.
I just wanted to stand out in front of City Hall there on the public sidewalk in Waveland for about 35 minutes like I normally do, and just spread that message of God bless our homeless vets. And on the other side of my sign it says hope not hate. A large part of the homeless population is our veterans, and I think that people should show compassion and love and support to our homeless people, especially if they're veterans.
Sir, I'm standing on a public sidewalk engaged in constitutionally protected activity.
Correct. But I'm letting you know you're going to go to jail, no questions asked.
Even if I'm standing on a public sidewalk?
Yes. How many times do I got to explain it to you?
They approached me, didn't want to have any kind of conversation, didn't want to do any kind of investigation, and asked me what I was doing. They just demanded my ID.
Okay, now I'm pretty sure you guys saw what you saw. You saw the same thing I saw. You heard the officer talk about if he doesn't show his ID, the officer's going to arrest him, throw him in jail, which are typical bullying tactics of law enforcement in situations like this. Now, I put out a story the other day, which was out of Baltimore, Maryland. It was about that 17-year-old that was caught with a firearm. And I know there's a number of you that disagreed with my position in that particular story. And many of you probably thought that I was automatically going to take the side of law enforcement. In that particular case, I did because of the nature of the situation. But am I going to take the side of law enforcement every time? No, I'm not. And this is one of those type of situations where I do not take the side of law enforcement. I think in this situation, the way that law enforcement handled this situation was handled poorly. So let's keep going.
Told me that I was going to jail. No questions asked if I didn't give ID, and trespassed me out of there in threat of arrest.
When Gray took his sign to Ocean Springs, he had another run-in with police.
Ocean Springs was just as bad of a train wreck, unfortunately, as it was in Waveland, if not worse.
So let me explain this to you
is
again.
freedom of speech and
I
freedom of
don't
religion.
care.
If you want,
Let me explain this again.
If they're trespassing
Let me
me, I'll
explain
leave.
this again. You're trespassed.
Okay, I'll leave.
Now you're done. Go get your freaking lawyer and sue the city if you think that's a violation.
I would rather not do that.
Then do that, because I can tell you what, you're not going to go anywhere with it. You understand me?
I would rather not do that. I would rather you respect my constitutionally protected rights, especially being a veteran.
I do.
Okay, now the officer mentioned how this man was trespassing. Now, technically, he was sitting in front of the city hall, in which the city hall is technically public property, because the city hall is funded by taxpayer dollars. So, again, I don't study law. Now, for those of you that are more in tune with the laws, I would love to hear from you in the comment section about what you think about this particular situation. Now, I'm going to say that the man had every right to stand in front of City Hall with that sign, because technically City Hall is the property of the public. It is not private property. So as long as he was there, not committing no type of crime, not bothering anybody, which he wasn't, he should have been able to stay there. But that's what I would say. Now, for those of you that are more in tune with the law, leave a comment below. Did this man have the right to sit in front of the building with the sign, God bless homeless vets? Or was law enforcement in the right by asking this man to leave? But, I mean, I need to know from someone who's more in tune with the law about whether this man was right or whether this man was in the wrong. Let's continue.
Do
Well, you
very
honestly
much
don't.
every day.
You're trespassing me
But
off
when
of
you
public
start
property.
becoming confrontational and telling me what I can and can't do, guess what? You're gonna lose every time.
I spoke with Ocean Springs Police Chief Mark Dunstan about the recorded interaction.
We're doing an internal review of the officer's actions.
Okay, that's about all I'm going to play of the story. I mean, you know, that man right there, he's the supervisor. He's just doing his typical PR, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, this is my opinion about this particular situation. I think now this particular situation happened in Ocean Springs. I mean, they say Waverly, Ocean Springs, but anyhow, I gotta say that I shame the law enforcement. Well, no, let me back up. The people who work for the Ocean Springs City Hall, I shame them for calling law enforcement, because my attitude is the man wasn't bothering nobody. He was just exercising his constitutional right, freedom of speech, by holding up the sign, God bless homeless vets. So the fact that the people who were working for the city of Ocean Springs were bothered by him holding up that sign, it kind of makes me question the amount of humanity that are in those individuals. Now, law enforcement, they got called, so they came as they're supposed to. And, I'm going to go ahead and shame law enforcement too. I'm going to shame them for the way they chose to handle the situation once they were called. Now, honestly, I don't think the man who was holding up the sign did anything wrong. I don't think he was breaking any laws. And technically, if he did not want to provide an ID, I don't think he had to. Again, for someone for somebody out here that's more in tune with the law than myself, leave a comment below. Did the man have to provide his ID or did not have to provide his ID? Was the man within his rights to stand in front of the city hall the way he did, holding up that sign, or was he in the wrong? Now, I'm going to say that he was in the right for doing what he was doing, and I'm going to also say that technically he did not have to provide his ID. Now, as I said earlier, if I was in his shoes, I would have most likely provided the ID, because, some of these officers are so, they're so full of themselves that if you don't do what they tell you to do, God knows what could happen. So, yeah, leave a comment below. Let me know how you feel about this particular story. And I'm going to end it right here. So, y'all have a blessed one, and I'll see you on the next one. You guys know what to do at this point.